How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Minecraft Let's Play. My name, of course, is System Z, and today is the day, or at least one of the days. Today we are going to be finally working on some redstone. There is a two-parter in progress here. Trying not to die there. In the last episode, we basically made the third layer, which is where I plan on storing all of my items. We're going to do a huge automated storage system as well as an automated furnace. Now, this episode is going to be a throwback because in my old world, we actually built something very similar to this. It's going to be using the elevator method that uses glass to lift it up, basically via dropper. The items come out and just go straight through the glass blocks into a chest. I think it's going to look really cool, and we gotta go ahead and get started. I do have some of the blocks here, but not quite enough. I know we are gonna need some sand, so let's go ahead and see if we can't get everything together and get started. And the sand is cooking. We got some glass on its way. In the meantime, I'm gonna need to try and find some ink sacs, but I don't think I have any. So we're probably, why did I just check the crafting table? We're probably going to need to go out in the water and actually get some. Fortunately, I do have a looting 3 sword, so this should be good to go. So now I just need to go and farm a couple of squid, which is actually a lot harder to do now because they can actually get away very quickly. You got to kind of do it fast, otherwise they'll get away from you. And then now we got a whole bunch of kelp as well. I feel like a vulture just circling these guys. Alright, we've got about 19. That should be enough for what we're trying to do. And if we need any more, we can always come back. Probably gonna need a little bit more sand as well. And we're gonna need some dark oak wood, of course. And I just really like the way they look whenever they're stripped. I think they look really good. So we're gonna be using that for the backing of this actual furnace project. Alright guys, it looks like we are all ready to rock and roll with this project, at least for the interface. We'll definitely have to get a little bit more for the actual furnace system. But as you can see, we are on the third layer here. And we are basically going to be building right here, which is in the very center of the observatory. Guys, thank you so much for the feedback that you gave me last episode. It looks like I'm not the only one who loves this base. This has been my absolute favorite project in Minecraft to date. It just looks so good, especially with the island. And you know, it's very interesting to me that after building this, Minecraft is actually going to be getting palm trees in the game. That's really cool. But what we need to do is go ahead and break this wall out, and then we're going to go ahead and make strip dark logs instead. I think that's going to look... Actually, we need to push it back a little bit more, I believe. Or, I think this is actually right. I think we're supposed to do it on this layer here. So we need to go ahead and get our dark oak logs and basically have them coming all the way down from the top. And then we're going to strip them to give them this texture. You know, regarding the campfires that are coming to Minecraft 1.14, it would be very cool if whenever you strip a log, it actually gave you a piece of bark, and that's what you needed to craft it. I think that would be very interesting. But the next thing we're going to need to do is get a little bit of our spruce here and go ahead and create a block all the way to the top of the spruce here. We're going to do that on the other side as well. And while we're up here, we're going to go ahead and replace the carpet with a little bit of sea lantern. That's going to provide us a little bit of lighting throughout this tower, which should look pretty cool. We also need to go ahead and grab our crafting table and make a couple of slabs. And for this, we're basically going to wrap this entire design. So we're going to start from over here and do this here. This is going to provide somewhat of a modern look to this thing, which is going to be pretty cool once it's all said and done. I'm very excited for you guys to see what I have in store for this actual room because it's going to be so cool, and honestly my favorite interface for anything I've ever built. It's going to be really cool. But the next thing we need to do is go ahead and take these blocks out. Now the great thing about blocks using an elevator that's made of solid blocks is that it can genuinely travel through any solid block. So if we have sea lanterns here as well, it won't disrupt the actual elevator, which is going to be very good. Now for now, we're going to just place all the glass, but eventually we're going to need to also place a hopper in the middle that's going to connect into a shulker box, and that's going to be our receiving end of the furnace whenever it's all done and smelted. So that should be pretty cool and pretty easy to do actually once it's all said and done. But this is only one key ingredient to this room, guys. In the next episode, we're going to basically do part 2, which is going to be the chest interface, and it's going to look so good. Like I said, I'm very excited for you guys to see it. It's going to be awesome. Alright, so that is looking absolutely awesome. Now what we need to do is go grab our shulker boxes and and some hoppers to go ahead and show you guys exactly what we're going to do. I also need to grab some clay and some cactuses to make some nice little potted plants. So I'm going to try and get everything together and try not to die. And I'll see you guys once I've done that. I think I should have about everything now. The only thing we're going to need to do is get one more color-coded shulker box. And this is going to be the receiving shulker box. So we're going to do the cyan block there. Go ahead and throw that away. And I don't have the hoppers yet, but that shouldn't be too hard to craft on the go as we need it. Now what we need to do is basically do a little bit of decoration, which should not be too hard. So I've got some clay blocks here. And one of the things that you guys may know about me is I absolutely love terracotta blocks. I meant to say terracotta, by the way, not clay. And the reason why is because they make absolutely beautiful flower pots. They look amazing. You can just do this right here and you got yourself a potted plant and it just looks amazing, honestly. Now I used to have a resource pack that changes that to more of a lime green color instead of the really saturated green, but still it looks great. And one thing you can do to add to it is add signs on the side. Made a little bit too many signs there. The recipe book always deceives me, but we still have I guess enough. We've got a full stack of signs now. I don't think we're ever going to really need that many. But we've got these here now, which look absolutely amazing. The next thing we're going to need to do is go ahead and place a shulker box. See, we've got this one and this one here. This is going to be our coal shulker box, which is going to go in this direction. This one here is going to go in this direction. And then, of course, about 4 blocks up, I think. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think right here, we're going to have our final shulker box, which is basically going to be coming out. That way we can always just select it. But I seem to have messed up there. Let me try and fix that. There we go. And then we're going to put one of these on top of those and go ahead and make a couple of iron things. I gotta say, I'm just so happy about this iron farm. It makes this project so much easier. Okay, how do you make iron trapdoors again? I think it's like that. There we go. So we're going to need 2 of those, and then we're going to need some hoppers. Really only 3 for now. I can go ahead and craft the rest whenever we actually start the actual furnace system. So we're going to need those there. We're going to put those underneath the hoppers, and then with the one in the glass, I'll show you how we do that. There we go. Let's go ahead and put these back now. Do that, and then of course this. Now the reason I have the iron trapdoors is to cap them off. This is very similar to the vending machine style that we did up there, so I'm gonna get item frames for that. I'm gonna put iron ore there and coal there to signify which ones are which. But now what we need to do is go in from the side here, which is gonna be a little difficult, but we should be able to do it. And we're gonna basically put a hopper that's feeding into this shulker box. Let's go ahead and take that away as well. And the only bad thing here is that I'm breaking the glass, but that should be fine. We're just going to grab this hopper. And we're also going to get rid of 2 blocks above. And the way this is going to work is once we cover this back up, let's make sure that all the glass gets covered there. We should be good, and of course put this back. The way this is going to work is whenever an item is coming through here, it's going to go through the glass and then all the way through the hopper, go a little bit above it, and then fall back down into it. And that's going to allow us to keep track of the items. Now naturally I'm going to put an item frame up there as well, but this is basically what it's going to look like. And once the item frames are in and you guys see what we're doing over here, you're absolutely going to love it. And now what I need to do is go ahead and get all of the stuff for the furnace system, and we can go ahead and start building the actual redstone portion of this project. I still need to get the furnaces together as well as some other things, but we should at least be able to make the elevator mechanism now. So what we're going to need to do is get a dropper and place it facing upwards into the very center of our 3x3 base of the elevator. And we're going to go ahead and make the elevator system here before we place the rest of the blocks. So what we're going to need to do is choose the direction of our furnace system, which in this case I'm going to build it facing this way. And the reason why is because our chest system is going to use that room up there. Now the reason that's important is because you're going to have a hopper going straight into the dropper from one direction. And if you have any redstone near that, it will disable the line and probably cause problems. So we're going to put our circuit on this side. I'm going to put a comparator there, and that's going to detect anytime there is a block in the system. So now what we need to do is choose one single block. In this case, I'm going to use a block of iron, because why not? We've got plenty of it. And go ahead and put a repeater there, and then do another one there. And then once we complete the circuit and create a loop, you'll see that it's going to spit the items out one by one. Now, that isn't pretty much all of the system. It's actually really cool from there. What we need to do now is I'm going to place a torch there so no mobs spawn there. We need to actually go ahead and create a 3x3 glass cube all the way up to the sea lanterns here. Otherwise, the items are just going to go flying all over the place down here, and that is definitely not where we want it. We want it to go down into the shulker box, so that should not be too hard. Like I said, all we need to do is actually just connect this up. And now if we go ahead and place something in here, like 8 pieces of stone, you'll see the items go all the way through, and if we go back up, we should see them in the shulker box. And there they are, ladies and gentlemen. There is nothing more satisfying than seeing a whole bunch of iron that you're smelting flow through the system. I am absolutely in love with this design, and I cannot wait to use it in the future. Now what we need to do is build the actual furnace array. Now for the reason we made the iron farm in the first place. To get a ton of hoppers, and the sad truth is, this isn't even enough hoppers to create an item storage system. This is only going to be enough for our furnace array, but that should be fine for now. We're going to get a lot more chests in the future. I need to make some sort of tree farm is what I really need to do. But we are going to make an 8-block furnace array, and that should allow us to have 8 items per furnace, depending on how much we smelt. That is, if we do a stack of 64 each time. So what we're going to need to do for this is do 3 rows, I guess, of hoppers on top, both on the top and on the side, 1 for the item, 1 for the coal. Now normally I would do 2. However, I tested this in a creative world, and if you do 3, it actually works a lot better. You don't get any items caught in the system, and you also make sure all furnaces work. If you use 2, I notice usually 1 will not work, and it'll only allow you to do 7, which is very odd. But what we're going to need to do is do 2 rows facing down, and the top row is going to be facing into the same location, which is going to be facing this way. So we're going to need to basically do this and make sure that they all go in right, because I have done this before, and sometimes I forget, and it'll just end up placing down. And go ahead and do the exact same thing here on the other side. So we've got 3 rows with the top one facing in the same direction. And this is where we're going to put our central circuit unit. But first, what we're going to need to do is go ahead and create a row of blocks to hold some redstone right on the second layer. And that's going to deactivate that specific row once we actually get this all configured correctly. And that's going to allow us to make sure that all of the items are divided up equally and held until it reaches the very end of the chain. And now what we're going to need to do is go ahead and tower up here to create our actual circuit. So for the circuit system that we're using here, as you can see, I've already got it pretty much all set up. We're going to put a comparator here on the very end, and what that's going to do is detect whenever an item has entered into this hopper. And as you can see, without it being activated, we already have an active redstone line going all the way to the end. The way this is going to work is whenever we feed items into that hopper, it's going to go one by one into each hopper until it reaches the end of the line, which will then activate and deactivate this torch, which will release the items. And doing so is basically going to allow us to divide the items equivalently by 8, as you can see it. So it's going to take however many we put in there and divide it straight down the middle by 8, since we've got 8 furnaces here. So this is pretty much all ready to go. The only thing we really need to do now is go ahead and hook it up to the actual system. So with this one being coal, we're going to need to connect it to the other side, which I've gone ahead and made this a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. The easiest way to do it would be to switch these 2 around, but we'll go ahead and waste the hoppers. And, oh, please don't fall into the hopper stream. There we go. So we need to just connect this up to the coal system. There we go. So that will be good. And then we need to do the exact same thing for the items, which is probably going to be a little bit more difficult, considering the coal is now switching in front of it. I should have done it the other way around, to be honest. But we can go ahead and connect them up like this here, and then, of course, just bring that down by 1. And once we connect this up, we should be ready to rock and roll. It should honestly all be working the exact way that we want it to. So let's go ahead and grab a couple of items and we'll test this thing out. After a couple of tries, I think I finally have it. Guys, I actually messed up on the last clip. The hopper lines were not connected properly and they were crossing over, which caused a lot of problems. So I actually ended up moving it down and switching the coal in the actual item deposit locations to the other side. But I think it is working now. The only problem is I have noticed that there is one furnace that doesn't really want to work. But if we go ahead and put our coal source in here and our cookable items in here, we should see that it should all go down into the system and be divided up equally, as you can see here. Now, once the items start to actually go through the system, it's really cool, and this is why this is my favorite design. So this is what you'll see whenever items finish cooking. They'll go up through the elevator system just like that, visually all the way up to the shulker box. Now, I have tested. This does cook the entire stack, so we're not losing any items, which is all I really care about. The only bummer is, as you can see, a furnace is not working, and I don't really know why. I think it's just a glitch in the game, honestly. I don't think there's really much I can do about it. It did work in creative mode, but I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. But finally, it is working. We never have to touch it again. I mean, we could always add to it in the future, but for now, I'm very happy with it. It feels good, guys. It feels really good. I've been trying to record this episode for like 2 hours now, trying to get this all fixed up. And it really shouldn't be that difficult, but as you can see, we've got a stack of stone made using our furnace array, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm very, very happy and satisfied with this. The only thing we really need to do now is get the item storage system set up, and then of course a bedroom, and we'll be able to call this a successful survival base. But guys, that is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I very, very much appreciate it. And all of the good suggestions for the observatory have been amazing. And I really encourage you guys to keep sending them in because I absolutely love the ideas. And I definitely plan on including them as we continue on with this base. But let me know if there's anything I could do to improve the furnace array. And guys, like I said, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. My name has been System Z. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.